Welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Doveston and thank you for joining me for this weekly episode as we take a look at what the I Ching is asking us to pay attention to for the week commencing the 27th of December 2021. This is our last I Ching overview for the year as we finish up the year and we dribble into 2022. So we're going to take a look at what this week is asking us to pay attention to. So last week we had hexagram 9, the small accumulates or the small tames, all about paying attention to the little things and the values and the wins that can come by doing the little things. And by giving ourselves permission to not try and tackle big, new, hairy, audacious goals, but rather to focus our attention on the accumulated benefit of the small. Every little plant, if you're a farmer, every head of cattle, every sheep, making sure that everything is cared for and looked after as part of a bigger plan, an accumulation that has value as opposed to just the small thing. So, what were the small things that were getting your attention? And I hope that you had a great Christmas week, a great festive week with family and friends. So let's have a look at this week, the 27th of December. Well, I'm going to tell you the weird thing. 4 weeks in a row, we have another locked hexagram. I don't really understand it. I've said every single week, what does this really mean that we've had 4 locked hexagrams in a row and every time they've come up every week? What does this mean? And locked hexagrams are really static, fixed situations. So they're static, that's what it is. And as I said last week, it's about doubling down on the hexagram that comes up when we have a locked hexagram. Sometimes if you're getting a locked hexagram in a question, we need to rethink our question because the way we've asked it is locked up. How can we see the situation from a different point of view and create the flow of change? But I suppose everyone's got their different and alternative ways of seeing things. So, locked hexagram, 4 weeks in a row. What's going to happen in 2022 then? And let's have a look at what this hexagram is asking us to pay attention to. And we have hexagram 63 after completion. I just think it's absolutely fabulous that we have this hexagram as the last flow of change for 2021, because this is part of a pair that represent endings, completions of cycles. We have hexagram 63 after completion and hexagram 64 before completion. And this hexagram talks about completing the completion or finishing the crossings. We've already begun this journey of crossing the river. We got to the last third of our transformation through this challenge, through this journey we've been on, and we are finishing that challenge. Unlike with hexagram 64, before completion, we're about to enter into this final challenge to complete the cycle of change. Here we are already in process. We're already going across the river. And you can imagine if we were doing that and we were in a boat and we had a team and we were going for it, we were completing the process. The one thing that we're not going to do in that last third of the river is try and start something new or change the strategy or try and stop or change a direction. We are certainly appreciating the risk that we're in. We're in a process. We can see the bank on the other side. It's very close. What we're going to do is we're going to complete the journey we started. So that is what this week is all about. Complete the completion, the finishing of the finishing. And so it's a holding pattern. It's where we create order, where we realize that as soon as something is complete, the cycle of change begins all over again and chaos and change starts coming back into the mix. And what we have to do is just stay in a holding pattern. So this week, we appreciate that 2021 has come to an end. I think it's absolutely fabulous that we finish this year on a finishing hexagram. There's closure and closeout that is possible now. So if we put aside the idea that yes, indeed, we are actually finishing the year, there's one level of insight related to this hexagram for our weekly overview. But the other aspect is, what are we completing? What are the cycles that we are in the finishing of the finishing phase on? And our job is to hold the pattern and see the course, see it through, hold the line. And so for you, I would encourage you to think about what is a cycle of completion in your life that's not just about the calendar that seems to be coming to an end, because of course time just continues. Yes, there are seasons, yes, there are cycles, but this kind of man-made construct of this hard end of the year and the reboot into the 1st of January, what does that really mean? So besides that, think about for you, what are the cycles that you are finishing? Endings. Yes, that might be difficult endings, but you are finishing the endings. The ending has already started. So look in your life of where you have been completing things. What are the things that you have been working towards finishing off? And give that thing your attention. Hold the pattern around it. See the completion through. Continue on the vein that you've been doing. So think about changing tack or changing your strategy in the last third of the river. This is not the time to change the approach or suddenly decide that you're going to go in a different direction. We hold the line. You're completing something, see it through. Use the energy of this week, if you can, to complete something. And even if you are on holiday and you aren't in a workspace or in a team space and you're thinking, what am I finishing personally? There's something that you are working on, some thought process, some cycle of learning, some aspect of your life where this finishing of the finishing is happening. And all we have to do is make some time, whether we're on holiday or we are still working, whatever it might be, is to give this completion process our energy. Because when we get these hexagrams, especially a locked hexagram, which is that doubling down, that intensification of energy, we are getting the opportunity to maximize the moment. And this week, the moment is a finishing moment of holding the line and seeing it through and completing what we have been working on. So, that being said, this is the finishing of the year. I want to thank you so much for being with me as we've traversed 2021 through all its interesting hexagrams and changing lines and processes. Thank you for all your comments, your likes, your shares, your subscribes, for being here with me on this journey with the I Ching. It's been a fantastic and high growth year for me, and I hope for you too. And maybe, just maybe, the I Ching has supported you in some aspect of the year. If it has, please share. That'll be really great to hear. So, what comes next? 2022 is around the corner. And what you'll get next from me is a couple of episodes. We'll have our January, a monthly episode, and we'll also have our 2021 into 2022 episode. And then we'll get back into our weeklies and see what January is asking us to pay attention to and unfold. And if you haven't yet or haven't recently looked at the 2020 to 2021 overview, perhaps go and have a look at that and just reflect on what 2021 has meant to you and the things that the I Ching has asked us to pay attention to this year. Thank you so much. I really look forward to connecting with you in 2022, and it's around the corner, so I will definitely see you soon.